That's a wrap.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the GABNet tour bus. Today our tour will take us up and around the newly designed GABNet.net webpage. For your safety, please stay seated while the bus is in motion and enjoy your trip. Also, remember that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated. Okay, we're off. The first place of interest that we're going to pass on the top left, you'll see a rotating billboard of all of the great GABNet programs. Legend has it that legendary broadcaster Alex Bennett created this billboard to attract early visitors to GABNet and to lure them into his site. To this day, it's one of the top attractions on our tour. Up next, look over at the top right and you'll see the most recent video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. And if you're lucky enough, we'll see Alex interacting with the citizen panel. Always a tour highlight. Did I mention that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated? As we approach the bottom of the Ramble video, we see quick links to all the ways that you can connect with GABNet programs. Facebook Live, YouTube, TuneIn, Livestream, Vimeo, and the GABNet Roku channel. They're all additional stops that you can make if you choose to step off the bus. But remember, please tip your tour guide if you do, and then you can hop on the next bus. Here's another highlight on our tour. On the left side, you'll see GABNet On Demand. You can quickly access any of the most recent programs there. Clearly, a value spot on our tour because downloads are at no extra cost. Please give your attention now to the right side. Look at the complete tutorial on how easy it is to become a citizen panelist. By the way, if you're a Luddite, there's a phone number that you can use to dial in. Okay, we're nearing the halfway point on our trip. I certainly hope that you're enjoying it. Oh look, there's the convenient call Skype button that you can click on, which will automatically connect you to the citizen panel. So now we're turning down the center of the page. I don't want you to miss any of these attractions, so please pay attention. Up first is a link to the 24/7 feed. Now these are going to come fast and furious, so pay attention. Next is a quick note on how you can hear GABNet on Amazon Echo. Next, quickly coming behind that, and this is always exciting, a screen that shows Alex Bennett's Ramble when it is live, with a countdown to the next show. It's always fun when we pass and the show is live. We're winding down our tour of GABNet.net, but before we reach our final stop, it's important to note that there is a place for you to contact them with your comments. Let them know how you like GABNet.net and the GABNet programming. And with that, we wrap up our tour. Remember, as you step off the bus, to please be careful. And also remember that GABNet is talk like you've never heard or seen it before. Did I mention, please tip your tour guide?
Ladies and gentlemen, the history of talk radio. Political opinions have been a staple of radio since the early 1920s. Talk radio as a listener participation format has existed since at least the mid-1940s. WMCA New York's Barry Gray was bored with playing music and put a telephone receiver up to his microphone to talk with band leader Woody Herman. This was soon followed by listener call-ins. In 1948, disc jockey Alan Courtney began a call-in program on WGBS Miami. The Alan Courtney Open Phone Forum was a conservative and anti-communist political forum with coverage area over the southeast United States and Cuba. In the 50s, Joe Pine, John Nebel, and Gene Shepard were among the first to explore the medium. In recent years, talk radio has gained popularity with many new formats flourishing, including all sports in 1986 with the birth of WFAN New York. The subject matter for these formats are different, but the structure has remained the same for all these years. You might say, talk radio is a 20th century format. Until now, that is. It's 2014, and radio pioneer and innovator Alex Bennett introduces the Citizen Panel on GABNet, the first revolutionary idea in the format since its inception. The Citizen Panel allows for an open discussion to take place between the host and many listeners all at the same time. Listeners claim that it's addictive, producing stimulating discussions on any topic from politics to movies and entertainment. It's not liberal or conservative. It's open to all opinions and ideas. Log on to GABNet.net to listen and find out how you can participate. Listen to the programs on GABNet and take a step into 21st century talk radio. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome, it's the Ramble, and we go from now until midnight Eastern Time here in the United States of America. And of course, as we do always, we like to kind of, if we can, go over and talk to a guest of ours.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's always ready. He's always here. He's Larry Bubbles Brown.
Hi. Always on time.
Always on time, right, Larry? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little rarity out here. We almost had snow last night in San Francisco. So.
Really?
Yeah, it was supposed to snow on, I think, Mount Tam, but above 1,200 feet. So I've seen snow here once before. So.
I remember once it was snowing at the beach, which is very rare.
Yeah.
And Mount Tam occasionally will get a dusting.
Yeah.
You know, but that's Mount Tamalpais, folks. We call it Mount Tam. And in fact, do you know the legend about Mount Tamalpais?
No.
Oh, here it is. Here goes. You ready? If you go and look at it, say from I don't know, Highway 101, all right? It looks like a resting maiden with her hair down one side, and look at it next time you look at it. And
okay, I've never heard this.
And I think that's something about what Tamalpais means, is like resting maiden or something like that,
Okay.
So, yeah. So anyway, I guess that kind of excited you, didn't it?
You grew up in the shadows of the resting maiden.
I used to climb all over there and all in the back. There are other mountains there. There's one called Mount Baldy.
Mount Baldy? I thought that was Southern California.
Right behind. Yeah, there's one in Southern California too, but there's a Mount Baldy in Marin County, right behind San Anselmo and Ross.
I did not know that.
And I've climbed many a time to the top of Mount Baldy.
But there's never been a Mount Rogaine.
Right. There was a time when you could actually, there are a lot of homes down there now, but there was a time when you could go up there and there was nothing but pasture and everything. You would climb to the top of Mount Baldy. Now you have to go up the other side because there are just too many homes you would have to go over their fences to get to Mount Baldy.
Well, you grew up there. That is, you got to be rich to live in that area now.
Rich? Not as rich as I think you need to be to live in San Francisco.
Yeah, either one's pretty expensive. Yeah, San Francisco's insane, but nothing wealthier than, let's say, across from Mill Valley's Tiburon. That is super rich.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like $30 million homes there or something.
You know what Tiburon's named after?
Tiburon means shark.
That's correct. Correct. Yeah, see, these are things, by the way, we're giving you a tour of our our home, and these are facts you may have never, ever been aware of, okay?
Robert Redford's father lived in Tiburon, I once read.
Did he really? Oh, son of a bitch. Okay. Robert Redford's father. Let me see here. What else?
Tom Snyder, who interviewed you.
Tom Snyder lived in Tiburon?
I think right towards the end. He moved up here.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then let's see here. Who else are we talking about?
Probably that could. I think there's a famous.
I know who I interviewed in Tiburon years ago. It was my first interview, the first interview I ever did. Any idea who my first interview ever was? You'll never guess.
In early radio.
In early radio, but he wasn't a radio guy. This was an interview with a famous actor who lived in Tiburon.
Let's see. There could have been name one movie he was in.
Dr. Strangelove.
Sterling Hayden.
Ah, you got it.
Yeah, I read he did live up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was your first interview?
That was my first interview I ever did with anybody.
Was he terrifying or a cool guy?
Terrifying.
Wow, 'cause he looked that way on screen.
He had what it was here. People don't know the story about Sterling Hayden. In fact, maybe most of the people listening to us right now don't know who Sterling Hayden is. Let me once again. Everybody's seen The Godfather, right? Who hasn't seen The Godfather? He played the bad cop
that Pacino kills.
Pacino kills, right? And Sterling Hayden was kind of a mediocre actor. He was never what we would call one of your go-to actors when you needed heavy lifting, okay? And he did this whole thing with his kid, and I'm trying to remember the exact story, but he and his wife were having a fight, or ex-wife, over the kid and the who would be getting the kid and how they would be getting the kid and how often they would be getting the kid and all of that. So he just up and took the kid on a boat called the Wanderer and sailed to Tahiti with the kid.
Wow.
And then he came back, and of course, you know, the cops were all over him, and the judge was yelling and screaming about how can you do this, you know, and so on. And that was the big Sterling Hayden story. And so when I interviewed him was after he had come back from that, gone through the whole court process, didn't get thrown in jail, and he had written a book called The Wanderer about the trip with the boat. And I interviewed him, and I don't remember much of the interview except that exactly what you said. I was terrified. I was terrified, first of all, because I had never interviewed anybody before, you know. And when you first interview somebody, it's like breaking your cherry. For me, it was. You know, I was actually in many ways a terrible interviewer at the time. And I got to be, I think, one of the better interviewers in the country at a certain point later on. But it took me years. And it took me years because I also had one guy, I can't remember who it was, who said, you're a terrible interviewer. And that really hurt my feelings. So I worked at it. And finally I found the keys to doing interviews. But it took a while. And it was, you know, it was not a easy thing. But back in those days, when you start interviewing, when you're interviewing, you do one major mistake. While he's answering the question, you're thinking about what the next question's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, you're not listening to his answer. And that's the big mistake most interviewers make. They're always thinking about, okay, he's answering the question. What's my next question going to be? God, I got to have a question for him.
Yeah.
And what I learned over the years is that an interview is a conversation. And you don't. When you're in a conversation, you're not sitting there going, oh, hey, Alex, what do you think of so-and-so? Okay, and then while I'm answering you, you're thinking, what's the next thing you're going to say? No. You just listen to me and you reply to that. And that's the essence of interviewing, is you don't spend your whole time worrying about what that person's going to say next.
Yeah, and if you can do that, that's when you get people to reveal interesting things.
Yeah, and so people say, well, your interview skills are very good. And I say, no, my conversation skills are very good. I mean, I hold a conversation with people. I don't interview them. And I think that's a pretty good way of describing it, you know. So when I was doing him, it was one of those things. You get halfway through the interview and you don't know where you are because you haven't listened to what he just said. And sometimes you're missing something which may be important and take you on a tangent you never expected to go. Again, a lot of other people, when they're interviewing people, think about where they want to go with the interview rather than letting the interview take them where they're going to go. I mean, every now and then I do a thing like I do with you where I talk to my ex-wife, Ronnie. And every time before we start doing it, she says, well, what do you want to talk about? And I go, I don't know, let's just start talking. And that's really what you want to do in an interview. You don't want to know where you're going. You're going on a trip. You're going on an adventure here. But you don't know what the adventure is going to entail, and you really have to pay attention to the terrain. You know, that's my bet. Well, I just gave away how to interview. Okay, thank you.
Well, but it's still not that easy to put into practice. But.
It's not that easy to put into practice. No, it is. It took years for me to suddenly. I think, I'll tell you where I learned how to interview. This is very strange if I think about it. I mean, I was doing okay. I could hold my own, but I was doing interviews like anybody else would do. And all of a sudden, I was at ABC, and either as a penalty or as just a part of the job, they said, we want you to every week record a half-hour Sunday morning show for our public affairs department. Because in those days, radio stations had to have a certain amount of public affairs on the air. So I said, okay, well, I guess I'll do it. And they said, and we'll just send you the guests and you can interview them. And so they would then send me guests into the studio for this half-hour show in which there was no way to interview them. I mean, it was like, and now here's so-and-so, who is the head of the Boy Scouts of America. And you go, how the fuck am I getting it? But somehow I learned that to start listening to their answers and holding a conversation, and I could keep that going for a half hour. But if I just had to ask them a series of questions, it would be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing to ask. So, what's good about the Boy Scouts? Thank you. What's bad about the Boy Scouts? Okay, thank you. Well, we have another 28 minutes to go. But if I sit there and I go, and I just start a conversation, I found I could get the half hour to fly by. And so in that stupid little show, I learned how to interview people because they were throwing me just the most mediocre subjects for interviews you could possibly imagine. And that's how I learned how to interview. After that, I became a good interviewer.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I don't interview anybody because I'm out of work. So.
You got this skill that you can't use.
Well, it really pisses me off that I do have skills and I can't really use them. And people go, but you've got a podcast. Yes, and so do 30,000 other people, And competing against that is, I knew how to compete when there were 5 other radio stations in town, or 10 other radio stations in town. But when I got 30,000 other radio stations in town, there's no way to compete because everybody's trying to grab ears and so on. And it's all gone corporate, believe it or not. Where in the beginning, podcasts were just these people doing these shows, It's now all corporate. So, I was watching CBS Sunday Morning on Sunday, the day before yesterday. And they have this guy called Mo Rocca, and he does a podcast now called Mobituaries, which is good title, and it looks like it's interesting. But they plugged it at least twice on CBS Sunday Morning. How am I going to compete against that?
Yeah.
How am I going to get somebody else's ears over that? I do a pretty good show, but, how do I get the word out there? So it's very difficult. It's, so I basically, compared to who used to listen to me, nobody listening to me. So people go, well, you gotta, I got maybe 500 to 1,000 a day through the various sources that we do. But I used to have 30,000 people listening to me every morning.
I know.
And who knows how many people when I was on Sirius Satellite Radio. Could have been 2 and it could have been 1 million. I don't know, But here, it's like, come on, please, will you listen to my little podcast?
Well, it's still a good one, God damn it.
Well, it's the best podcast ever.
And how did the Sterling Hayden interview end? Do you remember?
Goodbye, kid. Something like that. He was,
There wasn't horrible, but it wasn't really friendly.
Right.
Which is the way he looked. But
it wasn't. He was quite a. How can we call it? He tried to be a man's man. He tried to be the adventurer. He had a very inflated sense of himself. But I got the interview, and for me, that was a big deal. I got Sterling Hayden because he was in the news every day, and there was in the newspapers and so on, and I managed to get him. He had a little office in a old lumber office in Tiburon, and that's where I interviewed him. That was my first interview. You'll never forget your first interview.
Well, was this on, you went over and taped it? You taped it over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I taped it. I had to tape it. I think I had a little cheap, in those days, I think all we had were reel-to-reel.
Reel, had to be, yeah.
And I interviewed him, and I broadcasted over KTIM in San Rafael. And that was my first interview.
And he said not a great actor, but maybe one of the greatest comic performances in Strangelove.
Yes, he was cast to type.
Yeah, such a funny movie.
Yeah.
And do you know the little historical fact about the debut of the opening date of Doctor Strangelove.
Of the opening date of Doctor Strangelove?
Why it had to be changed.
Oh, hold on a second. Well, let's see here. The film came out in the 50s, didn't it?
64.
Oh, 64. Well, then it would have to, but it was a Kennedy?
It was supposed to open the Kennedy assassination weekend, so they pulled it and waited till January.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I thought, wait a minute, I thought, didn't Kennedy die in 63?
Yep.
And the movie came out, in 64 is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were supposed to bring it out like November 11th or something.
November 22nd.
November 22nd.
It was a Friday, yeah.
Wait a minute. No, when did Kennedy die? What day was it? Was it November 11th?
He died the Friday, so maybe it had been the week before then.
What was it? November 11th.
Or the week after.
Yeah, November 11th. Yeah. That is Kennedy's death, isn't it? November
22nd. Yeah.
November 22nd. Why did I say 11th? Because I'm getting old and I can't remember shit.
Because it's 11/22, so you're thinking of the month.
Yeah. Oh, and so it was supposed to come out the 23rd. And
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's...
Although he must have been an okay actor because Kubrick actually used him in one of his first movies.
He used him in The Killing?
Is it that the one where they rob a racetrack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they're going to kill a racehorse, aren't they? Something like that.
I just remember. I think they're trying to take the receipts at a racetrack. That's what I thought it was about. But
well, they found that Hayden could act if you gave Hayden a certain kind of part, he could do it. The reason he was so terrible is when he was in all those pictures. And I can't remember who he was under contract to. It was either Paramount or Universal. I can't remember. Maybe neither. Maybe it was 20th. I can't remember. Anyway, he had to play romantic parts and do these certain films which he just wasn't suited to.
Yeah, that would seem bad.
If it caused some kind of heavy lifting and acting, this guy was not capable. So. But he is. I think if I'm going to say who he is, I might say Dr. Strangelove. But if I say Godfather and I say the bad cop in Godfather, they go, that guy.
Yeah,
the guy who's killed by the son, by Al Pacino in that picture. But he was good though in that, because I love the way when he got shot, he reacted to it. He was like eating at the same time.
Yeah,
and it was like, what did he shoot him in the head?
I thought the neck.
The neck, yeah, and it just goes and grabs. He does a great. I always think that certain actors, I judge them by how good they can die in a film. And in his case, man, he was the best. He was just the best. That was a great dying scene. You ever remember any other great dying scenes? Nah.
I'm trying to think, yeah.
By the way, speaking of dying, I'm watching a show on Netflix. You don't get Netflix, do you?
I watch it when I go up to my sister's. So it's only 2 hours. It's only 2 hours away.
Yeah, but how you can't binge watch something because then you'd have to stay there for several days, right?
Yeah, I did binge watch a couple of things I liked on it. So.
But anyway, the binge watching. There's a show called Russian Doll. With Natasha Lyonne. Do you remember who she was as an actress?
I've heard that name.
She's on Orange is the New Black, but she did one of my favorite movies, which was Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Oh, that's an old one.
With, I think, Alan Arkin. And it's about a Jewish family who's homeless, who has to go from place to place to place to place, and she played the daughter in that. Well, anyway, because she had Orange is the New Black, they gave her a series on Netflix, and it's called Russian Doll. And it's kind of like Groundhog Day, but it isn't. In other words, it starts out with her in a bathroom, and she goes out and she leaves the bathroom, and it's a party, and it's a birthday party for her. And then she leaves, and she gets hit by a car and killed. And the minute she's killed, she winds up in the bathroom again. And then she goes out, and then she falls down a flight of stairs, and she dies and winds up in the bathroom again and comes out. And, she's trying to figure out why this is happening to her. It's not that the same, she can't get out of the same day or same evening and morning. She can't get out of that. That's enough of a problem. But she can't figure out why she's dying all the time and then coming back to this party in this bathroom. And it's really, I found they're only 25 minutes each, and there are 8 of them. And I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
That does sound interesting. I will check that out.
Yeah. And it's only 25 minutes an episode, so you can just tell your sister, hey, I need about 4 hours here.
I can do that.
I need 4 hours. Please leave me alone while I watch Russian Doll. And what I like about the title is the Russian Doll refers to those nesting dolls. The Russian nesting dolls. That, there's one inside of another one, inside of another one, inside of another one. So she keeps living one life after another, after another, after another. And then I'm not spoiling it because it becomes an integral part of the show. She finds somebody that has the same problem.
Okay.
And so they try to solve it together. And it's really, I thought it was very good.
That sounds like good writing.
It's a good idea. And she came up with the concept, and, I think the show was produced by Dave Becky. And he used to do all the stuff for Louis C.K. I have a funny feeling this show was developed by Louis C.K. and Amy Poehler's involved in it, because it's out of the same company and everything. And it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We're going to do a show without Louis C.K. involved. So it's quite a thing. Anyway, hey, listen, we're almost getting to the point where it's time to say goodbye once again.
The saddest time.
Any words of wisdom that you care to impose on the people out there?
Yeah, just if you feel like quitting, I would go ahead and follow your dream.
Quitting what?
Yeah, life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my parting words of wisdom.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think the same thing is true.
Yes.
Suicide is what was the term? A acceptable form of self-defense. Anyway, thanks.
I like that.
Thanks, Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And that's Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Bubbles Brown, yes, sir. Got on a little. We didn't do a swift changeover of programs here because I had a problem. Oh, what was that problem, Alex? Well, I'll tell when the people call up. I'll tell what happened all weekend long and how I solved it and what the problems were and what we were all into here. But let me turn on the Skype here so that we can talk to some people. And you can call us if you want to find out how to call us. Oh boy, I am just tired. I've been tired lately. I'm just tired all the time, and I don't understand it. Oh boy. So anyway, but I'm drinking coffee. I'm trying to. You wake up, okay? Wake up, America. Anyway, our phone lines are open, and you can give us a call, and I'll tell you all about my adventures this weekend of trying to get the studio in shape. We did a big changeover this weekend, and it always presents problems for the first couple of days. It's kind of like getting the new car smell out of the car so that it now just is second nature to run it. So I'm exhausted physically and every other way from having worked on this weekend and getting a new computer going in this studio. And there are all kinds of problems with it, but I'll explain that when Phil calls, he'll call, and I'll be able to just beat my chest at him, okay? But the lines are open, and we're waiting for your calls, and we don't know who's going to be the first one to call. And it's Phil Meyer. Of course, it's always Phil. You know, we can always, I hate to say this, but we can always count on Phil. Hello, Phil.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
All right. Just giving you due warning, it'll be a Phil-free Wednesday and Friday.
Phil-free Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll take Wednesday and Friday off. How's that?
Well, that's up to you. While you were playing the Bubbles interview, did you get an opportunity to watch the speech?
No.
You missed a good speech.
Oh, really?
I think it was a very bipartisan evening. And even Nancy Pelosi kind of smiled.
Well, I mean, she wasn't going to be rude.
Well, she wasn't, she was smiling.
Well, here comes Rob Alfano. I mean, I watched a little bit of the speech, so I know that you're lying. But hello, Rob.
Hey there. Hey, Alex. Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Did you watch the Trump speech?
Oh, no. Who wouldn't?
Oh, okay. All right, fine. Well, then he has
I'll read the crib notes, and I'm sure that there's plenty of crap in there. I don't need to listen to him blow
Well, I listened to about a half hour of it, and I heard a lot of he was going for applause breaks. So it was, how about the American Eagle? How do y'all? We got to save the American Eagle. By the way, we got to be good to every mother in America. How about that? Yes, applause.
Well, those World War II veterans and the Holocaust survivors.
They didn't know. They didn't know where the fuck they were.
Oh no! It's very, very proud of them.
One of them got up and took a bow, and the other
it was his birthday.
And the other one couldn't get up, so somebody had to help him up, and he didn't know where he was, and it was pathetic using those poor guys. Hey Charles, how are you, Charlie?
Hey.
Yeah. So what did you see it at all?
Me? No, I didn't watch it.
See, that's how much anybody cares around here about your hero.
Yeah, well, I was proud of him, and
you were proud
I thought it was a very good effort to what he did, and these applause breaks or whatever you want to call it. I think were a good bit unifying. It was nice that
I didn't find it unifying at all.
More separation.
I didn't find it unifying at all. I found him
Every time he speaks, he sounds like a cheap lounge singer.
Yeah.
When he asks,
to begin with, he reads a teleprompter so badly.
Well,
that
it's not how you deliver the message; it's the message.
Oh, really? It isn't how you deliver the message. If you don't deliver the message
maybe for you because you're a broadcaster.
No, as a salesman, you should know that the pitch is the most important single thing in the way in which you approach that pitch.
No, a satisfied customer.
Satisfied after the fact, but you got to make them a customer first.
Yeah, but you don't do that by pitching. You do that by listening.
Oh, so you don't offer them anything when you're trying to sell them something?
You ask questions that brings them to the conclusion.
Oh, come on, Phil, you're pitching them, okay?
No, I happen to be very good at what I do, and my goal is a satisfied customer, and the way to do that is to ask them questions that make them realize what their needs are.
Here's Doug. Doug has joined us. Hey, Doug.
It's my pleasure. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing fine, thank you. I got to do a little correcting here. Go ahead. Continue with. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Dr. Dupree.
Dr. Dupree?
Well, I mean, no, I just, called in and pretty much, like about everybody else, except for Phil, I didn't watch the thing because it's like, you can't believe anything out of this guy's mouth. And you just know he's just, as you said, trying to get the applause line. I'm just curious, did they bring up that kid who, like, that snowflake that got picked on because his last name was Trump? I remember they talked about it during the day there. Did they ever bring him up or anything? Whoever, Phil, you're the one that watched it.
I didn't see that part. I must have gotten up for it.
Did you watch it?
Okay,
Did you watch the speech, Doug?
Oh no, not at all. As I said, I don't believe anything this guy says. I have no respect.
So
for him.
far, he has about a 25% rating on this.
Yeah.
On this, no, excuse me, 20% rating because I only watched the first, 15, 20 minutes of it, and then I just said, he's going for every applause break he can get. It's like the Ed Sullivan Show where he's introducing people in the audience, and he's getting a pity party based on their appearance there. You know what he didn't do, which I thought was not gracious at all. He acted like that pardon was all his doing, when it wasn't. When it was Kim Kardashian, and she should have gotten credit. If he wanted to take credit, fine, but he should have said, and Kim Kardashian brought this problem to me, and I listened to her, and I gave the woman a pardon. That he shouldn't have.
Do you think Kim Kardashian needs more press?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think that when you do something good, you need to be, noticed for it. And
he takes credit.
Huh?
It was Trump that pardoned her.
It was Trump that pardoned her, but she was the one that pursued the White House to get the pardon. He would have never known she existed if it hadn't been for Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is,
he takes credit for everything. He took credit for sort of like, oh, look at what I did. Even though I inherited a good economy and lower unemployment through Obama, but I'm going to take all the credit for it, and I'm going to say I deserves a horrible economy.
No, he got a better economy and better employment numbers by osmosis. It was a trend that had already started under Obama, but he will never credit Obama with anything.
Obama said
they'll never apologize for anything either.
1.5% was the new norm for GDP growth, and Trump said that he was going to produce 3 and 4%, and he did. And
it's a false economy, though. It's going to come crashing around him. It's like everything else, slow and steady.
What he did was he got rid of all those onerous regulations, or many of the onerous regulations.
Oh, yeah. So he's destroying the country. So he's destroying the world.
Good.
Let's kill more animals so we can get the ivory over here. Let's just dump more stuff so sea life can eat more plastic bottles. But, hey, we don't care.
Yeah. Well, you can go to the extremes on anything that you want to. If what it's doing is it's helping our economy. He's pumping oil. We're no longer dependent on Mideast oil. We're the largest producers.
We shouldn't be
of oil.
dependent on oil at all. We should be into alternative forms of energy, which we are not pursuing, which the Chinese are.
Phil, if you look at the way he's running his idea of being progressive in terms of science and stuff, we'd be stuck with gaslights down the streets. There'd be no innovation. There's no such thing as innovation. He's trying to hold on to coal, and we led the world. We led the world.
Rob, I need to turn up my wick to get the flame a little bit.
Get the hamsters running on the wheel, because it looks like your lights are dimming over there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was very proud and very happy with the speech, the amount of the speech that I saw.
Proud? What, like a dog that you pet on the head because he took a poop in the right place?
That's about it.
And that's very.
I was very proud of him. Yeah, okay, good boy, good boy. That's what we should do with him.
He wasn't fighting.
That's what we should do. We should hashtag him.
Here's a
good
treat.
Boy, good boy.
Here's a treat.
He didn't. He wasn't argumentative. He didn't.
Oh, really? What about that whole thing about investigations?
Well, that part I must have missed.
You missed it. Where he said we're being hampered by this, that, and investigations.
True.
Well, Phil, you're getting up for a bunch of stuff there. You missed out the Trump kid, and now you missed out about the investigations there. So how much of the speech did you watch?
Well, I was also listening to Alex's thing, and then Faye had some Netflix thing on.
Did you catch in the middle of the speech where Donald Jr. got arrested by the FBI? Were you there for that, Phil?
No, I wasn't there for that.
Well, I must have been dreaming it. I fell asleep. I fell asleep during the speech, and I must have dreamt it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a good thing. I was happy to see that there was a lot of applause, and maybe this is the beginning of something good.
Wait, I watched the applause. Where was it coming from? Where was it coming from, Phil?
I thought it was bipartisan.
No, it wasn't. But pretty much that other side of the aisle was sitting quietly and not applauding most of the things. Okay?
Well,
nobody shouted out, "You lie"?
No, nobody did that. But I'll tell you something.
Republicans do that.
What's very interesting, Phil, and I don't know how you justify this, but I looked at that Congress, and on the right hand, on the left hand, actually, as you're looking from the dais, is the Republicans, and on the right hand are the Democrats. Or if you're looking from the back, the Democrats are on the left hand, and the Republicans are on the right. And as I looked at them, I tried to find a black person.
In the Congress?
Among the Republican congressional members. And I didn't see one. I know there's one there at least. And then I tried to look for women, and there were like 2 or 3, and that was it. And then you look over at the Democratic side, and it's a very inclusive bunch of people.
Yeah, they're getting all the discards.
Really? Like who? Who's a discard?
Whatever
a discard
women.
is. Huh?
Yeah, the women that they've got there. What about you've got that one congresswoman that the Muslim one that wants to bring down Israel, and do you remember her name? She's just been elected.
I didn't hear her say she wanted to bring down Israel.
Oh yeah, she's a definite.
No, she didn't. She didn't say it. No. Did you hear it, Charlie? I didn't hear it.
Her words were twisted. And it's just, as I said, it's like Alex Jones thing. It's like, okay, we're going to find a little quote here. We'll chop out this. We'll chop out that. It fits our narrative.
She's been quoted. She's been quoted an anti-Israel person many
No,
many
I want to know why. Will you give me give me the quote? Give me the quote, Phil, and give me the quote.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Because you say she's anti-Israel, she might say she doesn't like the way the Muslims are being treated in that part of the world, but that isn't anti-Israel. That's being pro-Muslim.
Yeah, well, let me get the negative quotes.
Which she's going to be, because she's a Muslim, just like you're pro-Jew, because you're a Chaim Yankel.
Alex, what I found funny, right before this thing, as I said, I didn't watch it, but I was hearing, and I listen mostly to right-wing radio because I find it hilarious. And just, how hypocritical they are. And they were talking about, like, oh, these Democrats want to bring out these guests that, want to embarrass Trump and all that. But then again, as I said, they bring out the kid that, who's called Trump. His last name is Trump, who's been picked on. Oh, we got to bring him out. They want to bring out a family.
Did they bring out a kid? Wait a minute. I didn't see that. Wait a minute. I didn't see that.
Hold on. But somebody's family member who was killed by an illegal immigrant, and it's like, oh, it's horrible when they do it, but when we do it, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, but to begin with, why did he bring out a kid named Trump who got fun made of him because his name was Trump? Of course. And if his name was Obama, he probably would have gotten made fun of during the last administration. Come on. And plus the fact that isn't even Trump's name. It's Drumpf. That's the family name, is Drumpf.
There's 2 of them, Rashida Tlaib and Ian Omar. And the Wiesenthal Center wrote to Nancy Pelosi on Friday to complain about the comments made by these 2 freshman Muslim congresswomen.
Well, fuck the Wiesenthal.
Extreme
Wiesenthal.
Anti-Israeli and anti-Semitic statements.
Fuck the Wiesenthal Foundation.
What's your source there, Phil? Is it Breitbart?
No, it comes from from a very kind of militant group against anti-Semitics. And they will take any statement anybody makes and blow it out of what do we call it? Out of proportion. See, I'm losing control of the English language here. But You know, I mean, there's a lot of questions about Wiesenthal and whether he didn't exploit Jews rather than help them over the years. You know, he was the big Nazi hunter, and he caught a couple, and then he lived on that for the rest of his life. And I know a lot of Holocaust survivors who think he was full of shit. You know, so anyway, Phil, take it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still reading Rashida Tlaib's statement.
And what was it? What was it?
Well, if you let me finish reading it, I'll.
I noticed you were reading because your lips were moving.
Look up Stephen King. What all he had to say. You know.
Oh, yeah,
time.
He was just talking about your, Virginia governor and your North Carolina. You know, he's. Stephen King made some stupid statements, but so did the New York
whataboutism. Whataboutism. There we go. I call it whataboutism.
Well, so what?
What do you mean, so what? That doesn't make
that
doesn't make an argument. That doesn't. Wait a minute. That doesn't.
I'll give you. What about?
It doesn't make an argument.
That's
Phil.
the worst thing you can do is answer a question with a question.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the biggest question.
That tells me
like,
why.
Wait a minute. Because I know I can't give you a good answer, so I'm going to deflect it to another.
This Jewish guy was asked the question, "Why do you Jews all answer a question with another question?" He says, "Why shouldn't we?" Yeah.
I got a bad joke for you.
Oh, by the way, according to the Wiesenthal Center, I'm probably anti-Semitic now because I told that joke. So, you know, Phil's.
You want to hear a bad joke? You want to hear a bad joke?
Sure, bad joke. There's never, you know. By the way, let me say this, Doug. Anybody that's ever, I usually didn't let people tell jokes on my radio show, for the express reason that none of them, in all the years that I've been doing shows, told a joke that was funny, or told it in a funny manner that sold it. So go right ahead, Doug.
Well, you let me tell you were kind enough to let me tell that blonde joke when Albert was with you and it bombed seriously.
Yeah,
so I think you gave the punchline away. But
what was the blonde? What was the blonde joke?
About what's the definition of Easter, and God came out. I mean, Jesus came out and saw a shadow, and there was 6 more weeks of winter.
Okay, we're all laughing at that one. Go ahead, try the what's this joke now that you're going to attempt here?
This was a joke from Super Dave Osborne, just recently passed away, that he told on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And what it was, now this is a joke, you can put nationalities or race or whatever. I'm not going to do that, obviously. This is a joke that came out in the 70s.
Are you going to tell the fucking joke, or are you going to keep us waiting?
All right, I'm going to tell it right now. 3 guys are on death row. Wharton says the first guy, get on the chair, take it like a man, what's your final words? Guy says, I didn't do it, I'm innocent. Wharton says, they all say that, throws a switch, nothing happens. Wharton goes, that never happened before. Well, you're free to go. So now the second guy gets in the chair. All right, what's your final words? Guy says, I'm innocent. This is injustice here. Yeah, they all say that. Throws a switch again, and nothing happens. And then the third guy gets in the chair. Warden says, all right, you got any final words? He goes, well, yeah, the first thing, your chair's unplugged.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh, Charles.
I hear some chuckles back there, so I guess that went better over my blonde joke there.
That was better than the first joke.
It was not bad. I'll have to admit that, Doug.
Well, it's a Super Dave Osborne joke, so I can't take credit for it. I didn't come up with it, but anyway, rest in peace, Super Dave Osborne, the world's greatest stuntman in the world, who failed at everything.
Do you know
isn't his brother the comedian
Albert Brooks?
Who was on
Albert Brooks?
Oh, it's Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks.
Yes.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was
and
the guy.
Albert. They both came from the Einstein family because their father, who I can't remember his full name, played Parky Carcass on radio and was a comic and is famous for having had a heart attack and died during a roast for Lucy and Desi at the Friars Club.
I didn't know that.
Was Dave the guy who was on Curb Your Enthusiasm as?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Super Dave.
That's Dave Osborne.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Well, it's Bob Einstein. Bob Einstein. Albert Brooks' real name
is Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
And he changed it to Brooks because he didn't really feel that he would get very far in show business with a name like Albert Einstein. So.
Well, anyway, I didn't mean to steer your show away over there, but I just,
you always do.
That joke.
You always do.
Well, I apologize. I always apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. But just listen carefully when other people are talking, because you're not on the Skype, and so you can't see the other people when they're talking, and so you don't hear it because there's a certain thing that brings your sound down while you're talking. So. All built into this fabulous thing called Skype. What?
Doug, why don't you use the Skype?
I don't have a camera.
Oh, okay.
Well, then you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know if you didn't see us on video. Okay. The Patrick Blazik has just joined us. So.
Oh, matter of fact, I probably could turn you on video. I was looking at a porn site here. Here we go. All right. Okay, I see you now.
You were on a porn... Wait a minute. You were on a porn site? You were on a porn site?
I was.
Gee, I hate to think you were jerking off before you came on this program.
No, he waited to get onto this program to start jerking off.
Did you wash your hands?
No, I didn't do it because my wife's home.
Oh, okay.
I can't do that.
All right. Gee.
So,
what if you can't?
I had plenty of ham party at the motel room last night.
You mean you can't jerk off? Why would your wife be upset with you jerking off?
Yeah, I got some class. I'm not gonna. I'm just not gonna do that.
Really? Well, you'll do it if she's not there.
That way, I won't pee in front of her.
Really?
Wow. How long have you been married?
Actually, it was 35 years Monday.
Wow.
Usually after 6 months, you even fart in front of them.
Yeah.
No, I'm a gentleman. I don't do stuff like that.
Oh, that's being a gentleman?
I might be a sleazy gentleman, but I'm still a gentleman.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, so let me tell you a few things before, and then we can get back to all this. But I over the weekend, I did what I've been working on for about a week in kind of setting it all up and everything like that. I moved the new Mac Pro into this studio, and now we're doing the show tonight on the Mac Pro, and it is fraught with problems. And
really?
Well, part of the problem, I'll tell you what happens, and you know this. Rob probably knows this because he does tech. You know this, Rob. When you switch over to another computer and then you attempt to do what you've always done with the old computer, there's always something you missed in getting it ready to go. And like I use a thing called Nicecast to be the encoder that goes out to the server, and then you listen to the show through that encoder. And it wouldn't go. It was kept saying can't hook in. So I went to another encoder I had and immediately initiated that, and that's what we're running with right now. Well, during the interview with Bubbles, I figured the thing out. I had not changed over the Nicecast that I put on this machine. I had not changed it over to 64-bit instead of 128-bit, which I don't pay for 128-bit, so it won't let me go on with 128 bits. So I had to, in other words, it was something I had to do with the program that there were so many little things I had to do, I forgot about that. And so, but we got on tonight. But it's working okay. The only problem I've got is I just got a new control board that's going in. I'm putting it in over the weekend, and it should be easy to do. And hopefully, knock on wood. And the only problem I've got is I'm using a little dongle that allows the audio to go in through a USB port because there are no audio input ports on the new Mac, on the Mac Pro. And so it puts in a signal that is just too hot. Now, I checked it on my new board, and what it does, it doesn't even send a signal. It just sends a signal raw, and then the various components you've got catch it. So hopefully the new board will
do it perfectly. But I hope the signal is good tonight and nobody's getting blurry sound and we're not over-modulating or anything like that.
Sounds fine.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah. But this new board, I listened to the audio on it tonight, just playing with it in the other room, and it's probably going to improve the sound on this program. Great deal.
Is it digital?
What do you mean, is it digital? Of course.
Well, there's digital boards and there's analog boards.
Yes. And what do you think you have, Phil?
I have a digital board.
How's it a digital board, Phil?
It's a...
Do you have sliders on it, sliding pots and stuff?
Yeah.
Then it's not digital.
No, this is. It goes through. There's a digital interface.
No,
universal control.
All I'm saying is that it's not. No board is completely digital. Am I right, Rob? That they all have some kind of non-digital component to them.
I don't know. It's been such a long time that I've been out of audio.
Yeah. The output is purely digital because it goes to the USB on the computer from USB out.
I don't think any consumer-based board is going to be.
This is what's on my screen.
Mm-hmm. So
right. What do you mean on your screen?
On this is on my computer.
Apparently, he has an interface to his computer that will operate the board as well. This is why he paid a fortune for this thing that he doesn't really need.
Yeah, but I don't. That's a Behringer?
No, it's a Presonus.
Presonus. That's an analog board, and basically, yeah.
Got way above my head. Not surprising.
Yeah, no, it's basically an analog board. I mean, they're all analog and digital. They have all digital. They have some digital components in them. In my case, the new one I've got has a USB out, and what comes out of the USB is digital.
The one I sent you was totally analog. The Behringer.
Yeah, well, so is what you've got there, Phil. It's just that you're able, because of the way they've set it up, to be able to talk to it through the computer.
Right.
Yeah, and
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can talk to any number of things that I have here through the computer. I can talk to another computer through this computer, but that doesn't mean that it's all digital. You know.
Well, it's not all digital. It's got some analog things because you're right about the sliders.
You know.
But yeah,
that's what I said. You know, the board itself is not. I'm sure it has digital outputs. You know, like the USB and so on. But I don't think that the board is. You know, the fact that you can hook it up to your computer and your computer can run it is fine. That's an added feature. That's what you paid. How much you pay for that thing?
$1,100.
Yeah, see. I mean, you don't need to spend $1,100 for a board. This one, the new one, it fits the exact same footprint as this one, and I need one that's small. I can't go with a huge one, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you need a board that big anyway. Are you recording bands in your apartment?
No.
Then why do you why do you have that much of a board? The one you sent me
looked like a good board.
The one you sent me, is so big I wouldn't have even needed it at Sirius.
Well,
okay?
This has the same footprint as that one.
Yeah, huge, huge.
You have the same board that I do, the old one, right, Phil?
Right. Yeah, I sent it to Alex. I gave it to. He wanted it. I gave it to him. Right. It was the 24 something Behringer.
The new one I have has a three mics input and four and three inputs for and if I want to use one of the third one, I can have 3 inputs of like audio from various sources. It's no more than I need. I don't need more than that. I don't need more than 2 mics. If I turn on 3 mics, and I can do 3 mics with the new one.
God, reminds me of the porn I was watching with 3 inputs there. So.
I do. I have 2 mics, 2 computers that go into the board, one for sound effects, and a recorder, a Zoom H6 that I can record.
What do you do with all that? When's the last time you used all of that?
Well, I'm out of time. I'll use it eventually. You know, I go through stages when able to devote.
I actually went to smaller because this one has 6 mic inputs. The new one only has really 3 mic inputs, and then the 2 for audio, like the audio here. But I hope everything will work fine. You know, there are a few things that I do here on this board that aren't duplicated on the new board, but there are things, places I can put it, you know. So.
Well, you know, the pots get dirty, and that's what happened to that Behringer one.
Well, that's what happened to mine, but didn't you spray it?
Nah, I gave it to you.
You didn't spray them?
No.
I have.
I bought a new board.
But the thing is,
and he unloaded his junk on you there.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I can't.
He likes holding my junk.
Yeah, basically, I couldn't. You know, the pots on here are getting very scratchy, and even though I spray them, I have to spray them like once a week, or they keep getting that way.
And the thing about the Behringer was that there was the adjustment. If you did adjust the pot, it was either like all on or all off. There wasn't a real range that it gave.
You should have sprayed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem with mine.
No, yours doesn't work.
No, mine doesn't work because I wired everything all vakakta. I don't know what the hell I did, and I don't feel like untangling it. But and I want to replace that board anyway. But I want to go with a traditional radio console with a program and an audition channel, and that's what I'm more comfortable with. So for about $2,000, $1,800, I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Well,
but that's what I want to do. And that's another reason why I don't want to spend the time to go through and rewire that thing, because it's not going to be permanent.
I'm going to install
Send
the
it
thing.
to Alex. He'll take it.
I'm going to install the thing this weekend, and hopefully it'll work okay. You know, there's only one output that I can't figure out, and that's the monitor output, and that's the output that you guys hear me through. But I think I can put that through just. You know what I found out is that when I plug this thing in through the USB, this new board, the main what do you call it? Main signal, main output, doesn't change at all using on the USB. It just puts a raw signal into the computer, and then everything picks it up. So, you know, it'll be interesting. It's the stuff I got to get used to. And I'm too old to get used to stuff. Anyway, enough of that.
Hey, I got my seats today.
What?
My Recaro seats. So the car feels like a new car again. You know?
What kind of car you got?
I have a Toyota FJ Cruiser. And the seats...
I used to have one of those.
Yeah, I love that car. So the seats, the driver's seat started breaking down. And even though it's got a lot of miles, this car is perfect. And you know,
except the visibility.
Yeah. Well,
you put Recaros in an FJ.
Yeah.
The seats are worth more than the car.
Yeah, really.
How many miles you got on that thing?
148.
The seats are worth more than the car.
That's just getting broken in. I just had to call Toyota dealership I usually deal with to say, like, I think I'm going to be in the process of a new car there, because I got a Corolla. My wife has a Highlander.
Okay, this is getting boring. This is getting way boring.
Not as boring as your mixer.
Well, I tried to get off of that, but
anyway. So
okay. Anyway, okay. All right. Fine. Good. Okay.
Good choice.
Great.
Choice,
yeah. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
A new Toyota seat, just the driver's seat. Which
there are three people here. There are 3 people who are here who haven't said a word.
But
who haven't said a word because you won't shut up. Because you're
right.
taking us off into these, and you too, Doug, you're taking us off into the talk ditch too. So just shut up for a while. Hi,
All
Kevin.
Right.
How are you?
I want to ask Phil if he got racing wiper blades too.
Well, they say Recaro on them. You know, I got German seats in a Japanese car.
Wow, that's amazing and interesting. Welcome to Car Talk, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I can tell you another super day.
Oh, shut up, Click, and shut up, Clack. Isn't that what their names are?
Pretty
Click
funny.
and Clack or something? The car guys.
Yeah, the car guys.
Yeah.
Well, if you switch to MSNBC, AOC is on right now, and she's looking pretty hot.
She's hot. She's hot.
I love her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Free. You know,
What
if it
is
isn't
free?
free,
Betcha.
AOC will give it to you free.
No, I
You
think
betcha.
yes, Patrick.
I had a very unique reaction to the State of the Union as I looked at all of the inclusive Klan members on the Democratic side.
I was waiting for that one.
They were black, Hispanic, they were Asian, they were white, and they were all wearing white, and they all looked like fucking...
Wait a minute.
I thought when I saw Nancy, were they Nancy nuns? I mean, it was the most bizarre sight I have seen in the Senate in a long time. And I thought, what the fuck is the white for? None of them are virgins by a long shot, so it has to be the Klan.
Actually, that was wasn't that a statement they were making about women's
About the
unity?
women thing, yeah.
That's right.
Wasn't the last time they did it they did the similar thing with the Me Too, the white
I think
shirts
so.
with-
Yeah, I think at one of the award ceremonies or something, the Golden Globes, they wore white.
Well, they look like Klan members. It looked like it.
Well, they didn't have a fucking hood on, Patrick. That's the difference, okay?
Brides wear white.
That was because of the government shutdown. They couldn't get hoods.
What I don't understand with these groupthink sort of things is they look like morons. No matter what their cause, when you dress the same, you look like you don't have your own fucking brain.
Did you even go to Catholic school?
And it
Well, how about blue suits and red ties?
Yeah, they were all blue suits and red ties on the other side.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
you know,
they're
same
right.
thing.
They're right.
I didn't see all the same ties.
Oh yeah,
That's what it was. That's what it was. It was on both sides. They pointed that out.
Back.
Oh,
Too
maybe.
bad.
I mean, the white really stood out to me. And
Yeah, it did.
more because of what was going on in Virginia with the governor with the Klan shit. And then I saw that and I just thought, well, that's kind of funny that everybody dressed in white following a big controversy on Klan wearing blackface and.
Well, I don't think they thought of the white. White is not a form of dress particular to the Klan. The Klan not only wears white, but they wear it like a sheet, and they wear a hood over their head. So I don't see that wearing white as
To
a
disguise them.
statement of unity.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different from the Confederate flag. I mean, people can put that with the KKK, but somebody dressing in white. I mean, you know.
If anything, it was a
mean,
woman.
people getting baptized.
If there was anything wrong about it,
like
is
in
you're
white
not supposed to wear white till spring. You know, that's probably the fashion faux pas here.
Yeah, if anything, it was a women and a purity thing, which really isn't right either.
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought the timing was very, very funny to me
I
because
think-
they were
that whole
so they were Klan members. So
that whole speech, that whole thing was just kind of weird show, is what it was. It was a weird show.
Well,
the whole speech.
Phil said he was proud of our
illustrious
leader.
Not surprising.
Yeah,
but it was a weird
how
show.
How was it weird for you?
For me, it was weird that he did the usual, look what I did, a lot of nothing, and he didn't, he focused more on stuff that's already been said and didn't bring up anything good for the future, really, anything new.
Well,
what happened to infrastructure? What happened to the bridges and the roads and shit like that? The stuff that we care about.
Yeah.
Anything else, that's the stuff that he should be focusing on to get us on his side, but he didn't go for any of that shit. He just went for the other shit.
Well,
said, let's not divide, and then turned around and said other shit that would divide.
What I was hearing was a lot of here's what I did, and here's what I did, and here's what I did, which is not what the State of the Union is supposed to be about. It's not to get up there and crow about your accomplishments, but for you to state about where this country should be going and your hopes for the future. That's what the State of the Union is about, and also to say the State of the Union is sound and whatever they say there. But that basically it's not you going up there and bragging about what your perceived accomplishments.
It's to say where we are and where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence, I didn't tune in because I knew you weren't going to hear anything like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I wasn't going to, but I was hoping. But it didn't work.
No. Don't. There's no hoping with this president.
I keep hoping, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I like to bang my head on the table, I guess.
Yeah. You like the pain. The pain.
Yes, that's probably what it is.
Did you hear it at all, Jeff? Did you hear the speech tonight?
I listened to the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay. Now we have somebody who actually listened to it tonight, besides Patrick and Phil.
I did too, and I listened to the Democratic response too, and then I called in.
How was that? That was that woman who lost for governor, right?
Yeah, Stacey Abrams.
Yeah,
she came back and gave him shit about. She definitely gave him shit about the shutdown. Said it was a staged deal. Said it was all staged and. Gave him royal shit about that, and then just did the usual other stuff.
Right, Jeff. What did you think of the speech?
Most of it was BS. I did like the part where he talked about the Holocaust people.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Because I didn't believe that there was any of them still alive who could show up. I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Other than that. There was a little bit at the end about talking about reducing the cost of medications.
Yeah,
but there was not a lot of here's the way we're going to handle it.
Here's how they say they're going to handle it, and it's kind of all wrong. They're going after what they call the middleman. What happens is the pharmaceutical companies sell to a middleman. The middleman sells to the hospitals or to the doctors or to the pharmacies. They want to do away with the middleman. They figure that will bring costs down. But the fact is, you've got to really get to the pharmaceutical companies and get them to bring the prices down. That's where it's really got to start. And they're not willing to do that because they're not going to go after business.
Right.
And these are people
who want to get rid of the salesman there.
By the way, these are the very people who this year I was talking to my pharmacy and I said, so how much is this going to cost me now? But it's going up or what? And they said, well, we don't know how much everything's going to cost because this time of the year they always raise the prices. They always raise the prices? I mean, weren't they making enough money off Cialis last year? They got to raise the price on Cialis this year? I mean, you would think if it was good enough a few years ago at that price for them, they've already paid it back. What are they raising the price for? And then you wonder about that crook a while back who raised the price of some AIDS drug or something.
Just to buy a record.
500%. And yet there are companies out there who in a couple of years have raised their drugs 1,000%. I had one.
Well, look.
I had one. Wait a minute, Doug. I had one that was that I was taking that I was $300 for a 30-day supply. All right, but it wasn't something I had to take every month. I just had to take it for 1 month. The next time I went to go get it because it was for IBS, the company had raised it to $2,000. So how's he any different than that guy that raised the price on the AIDS drug? Yes, Patrick.
Well, that was that.
Patrick's got his hand up. Yeah, Patrick.
I have my hand up.
Well, I can't see it, Doug.
Just kidding. Go ahead, Patrick.
Then I got a question.
Yeah. What? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
All right, I'll go then. Well, I got first a question. How long does it take before something becomes generic?
I think it's the patent. It's 17 years, is it?
Well, Cialis and the other drug for erectile dysfunction are now are now out in generic form.
Well, the reason I asked,
I don't think Cialis is in generic
Viagra
form
is.
yet. Viagra
it's just Viagra?
Just Viagra.
Yeah, I think it's called. Is it called Sildenafil or something?
Yeah.
It's generic.
Yeah. Yes, Patrick.
I take a pill for my bladder to regulate it, and it's vesicant, and it's a name brand, and I've been taking it for like 13 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the damn thing to become generic because it's very expensive for me monthly. And the thing that I find hilarious is here's a drug that is for my bladder that is really an innocuous sort of thing, but I also take a narcotic for the spasms in my legs, and that shit is like free. It's like $12 for a 90-day supply.
Well, you don't understand. You don't understand, Patrick, why the thing for your bladder is so expensive. Because they feel that part of their job is to get you to piss away money.
Oh.
So I just thought I would mention that. Yes, Patrick.
I just found it funny because I'm on Klonopin, which is used for a lot of different things, but for me, to help regulate my leg spasms at night. And if I were to sell one of those pills on the street, I could probably pay for the Vesicare for my bladder. You know, I'm thinking I got a 90-day supply. I can just sell that shit out on the street.
Jeff?
Yeah. The reason that you're not getting a good price is because there's probably nobody else producing it, even though they could, because the market is not that big.
Am I also wrong about this, Jeff? But I think where generics are concerned, when a drug goes generic, the generics aren't that much cheaper anymore.
Well, that's true because
not really.
It's still competitive.
Yeah,
and they can set whatever price they want.
Yeah.
And they go, oh well, this is generic. Yeah. And I said, well, thank you. So I'm 10% less, but
yes, Doug.
Well, anyway, when you're talking about the guy that raised up the cost of that pill by so much, that was I forget what his name was, but he had like that really punchable face. Went by his nickname Farm Bro, and all I can say is like, thank God there does, that has karma exists because that guy's now in jail.
Okay.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to add. Sorry.
But
Super Dave Osborne joke?
No.
Just kidding.
Oh, by the way, the one other thing I did this weekend, I'm so wonderful. I couldn't get sound to come out of my HP Windows machine. Well, I had another one in the bedroom, a spare, which probably I could have figured it out. But what I did is I pulled out. Both of them had flash drives, SSD drives in them. I simply traded them out, put the machine in, and it simply logged on like this machine always logs on. Looks exactly the same and everything. I'm still got it. Still got it. Anyway, the whole thing about the drug prices is something that, as I get older, gets to be a real problem for me. That I don't understand it either. I mean, the most expensive. I use Cialis not for a boner, but for but for the fact that it allows me to pee. It has those properties as well, and it is considered a drug for BPH, and it is singularly the most expensive drug that I take. Even with all I buy a 3-month supply, and even with all the benefits I get from having a pharmacy, the pharmaceutical stuff, it still winds up costing me $125 every 3 months. Most expensive drug I'm taking. And why? Because it's a boner pill. Now, I got to tell you, I know a boner is important to most guys here, except for Phil, of course. And a boner is important to guys, but I'm telling you, it isn't a life-saving drug. And to charge that kind of money for it is unconscionable. Yes, Patrick.
Well, that's what I can't figure out. Like with my bladder medication, it costs me either $138 or $148 every 3 months for a 90-day supply.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I only take 3 prescriptions. So I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's still a lot of money for that, which is, like I said, a pretty innocuous sort of drug. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't give you a boner. It doesn't do anything like that. It just relaxes the bladder. Versus the narcotic that I take.
Yeah.
You would think that would have a bigger impact on my wallet, because it's something that you can sell on the street, and I got to get my fucking driver's license.
Yeah, right.
Whatever shit. But this other stuff that you can mortgage a house on, I don't understand the weighted price.
$10.
And thankfully, I did get paralyzed, so I can relate to other people who have the issue with
exactly. Yes, Jeff.
Well, the other thing that I've found is you can shop from different drugstore companies, and get different rates, even though theoretically they're the same.
There used to be here in New York, I think it was maybe the Village Voice every week. Oh, no. There was a website or something, I can't remember, but where they listed the various prices of the same drugs at various drugstores. Okay. And the range was incredible. I mean, at one store, something would cost $100. At the store across the street, it would cost $50. That it's really weird. This is why we need universal health care. Yes, Jeff.
The other part, it's affected very much by what kind of insurance you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that causes a variability of whatever drug you're using. You could go and look around and see who else could be your company that you'd pay for your insurance. Mm-hmm. You might get a bigger benefit depending upon the drugs that you're taking and what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're very.
What were you going to say, Rob? Is it Doug? Okay, Doug.
That was me. I mean, Rob was speaking. But anyway, no, I was going to ask, this is a question out to everybody, the ones who watched, the speech or started reading up on it. I haven't even read up on anything. It seemed like a lot of right-wing talk show hosts were bringing up socialism. The Democrats want socialism. This is all they want. They want to be socialists, and socialism's never succeeded anywhere. Israel, England, Germany. But anyway, I was wondering, did he bring that up in the speech? Any that, the Democrats want to be socialists.
Yeah, he brought it up.
What, socialism?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Oh, he basically said that America will never become socialist, and they keyed in on. You could see Nancy's face kind of go, "What the fuck?"
Well, to begin with, that's a stupid statement on his part.
It was. I mean, it was stupid to even bring it up in a speech,
because
in a State of the Union speech.
We already have a lot of socialism going on in this country. I've mentioned this to Phil quite a bit. The police department is a form of socialism. The fire department is a form of socialism.
Get real.
What do you mean, get real? What do you mean?
The whole Democratic Party there's a split. There's a big divide. You've got the blue dogs, and then you got the socialists. You got the Bernie Sanders. You got the Casio, and you got the Harrises. You got all these people.
But he was talking about a total socialism takeover, and that's never going to fucking happen.
No. You got the Roy Moores. So anyway,
yeah, you got the Roy Moores, you've got the Stephen Kings, you've got who else?
Medicare is socialist.
Huh?
The Medicare is socialist.
Yeah,
everybody pays Medicare.
Your mama is socialist.
Yes, Patrick.
Can I say this? Can I say this one thing about socialism and not wanting to help anybody out? It just seems like when it comes to like military spending and everything else, or in this wall. We got to protect our people. We got to protect our citizens. We got to protect everything. But when it takes, taking care of them, feeding them, Oh, no, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You got to take care of yourself. Screw you. You know, I got mine. How dare you want to tax me, to take my money away from me and all that? So it's sort of like, okay, we'll spend money on the military to supposedly protect people that we really don't want to take care of.
Well, anyway, we're going off subject there, but the point is that you know, we have a lot of socialism in this country, and it's not a terrible thing. They talk about socialism like it's something terrible, and yet you ask the average person out there who says, "Oh, I don't want socialism. I don't want socialism." Why don't you want socialism? And they can't really tell you, because they can't tell you what's wrong with socialism. Right. Marcella Roberts is, by the way, you would know, Doug, if you had a camera, that Marcella Roberts has just joined us, and she's outdoors somewhere in sunny Cal.
That's my green screen.
That's your green screen. Yeah, that's the cheap one from who does that? I have that one.
XSplit.
Yeah, but I need more light in here, and so because I kind of, my arm gets cut off and things like that. But it's very simple.
You need to have lights specifically on the screen.
No, there is no screen there. She doesn't have a green screen, Phil.
Do you have a green screen behind you?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
All right.
You do, but you don't have to with that.
No.
No.
With OBS, you don't have to. You said, but
no, I didn't say with OBS. I said with what is it? What's the company I'm thinking of? XSplit. They have a keyer that you can use that I've tried that takes no green screen in back of you.
Does XSplit only works on? It doesn't work on a Mac, right?
It just works on Windows. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the Roadhouse where, Marcella?
That is a restaurant / bar that you see in Twin Peaks a lot. If you watch Twin Peaks. I thought it
looked familiar, yeah.
It's about 20 miles from my house, 15 miles.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, good evening and welcome to our
we know
fine
where we
program.
are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
So, you know,
Twin Peaks, love that show.
Yeah. So I mean, all I'm saying is this constant harping about we're getting socialism and socialism, as though it's like some horrible thing when people are already using socialism. You know, when they call the police department, that's socialism. Because
look at the military.
How much does it cost us? How much do we have to pay to have the cops come out to our house? Nothing. Socialism.
Isn't that a whataboutism?
Fire department. No, this isn't a whataboutism. This is an example, Phil. There's a difference. There's a difference. It's an example. In the case of fire, your house starts burning. The fire department comes out. They put out the fire. You don't get a bill for it. That's socialism. Yes, Patrick.
Isn't that what we pay taxes for?
Well,
exactly.
Shouldn't part of what we pay taxes for be free health? Free health?
Yep.
Why should we have
education.
Why shouldn't we keep
this country going?
What do we have against taking care of each other? You know, what would you rather?
They're equating social. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcel.
They're drawing a line from socialism to communism, and they're saying that we want to be all communists. That's what I see.
That's the way he talked about it in the speech. He made it sound. They directed it more like a communism type socialism.
Yeah, and the fact
while he's doing something to Putin there that whole time.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, the fact is that any country that's going to survive has to have a certain element of socialism in it, because people, you know, the populace has to be kept happy, and if they feel they're not being attended to, they get a little cranky. And what happened during the Depression was things were so bad that the reason that FDR did what he did, a lot of the programs he did, which were socialistic in nature, was to keep the wolves from the door, because Americans were talking about going to communism.
Communism, yeah.
And so FDR did everything he could to placate the public by giving them programs such as Social Security, that would keep them calm. And we got past that period, and the only thing that came out of it was the House Un-American Activity Subcommittee, and people saying, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? And a lot of people were because they saw it as maybe an answer to the problem of the Depression. So, if we get back into a depression, or we get back into a situation where people feel that they can't make ends meet, all of a sudden they're going to start looking towards socialism in a much more friendly way.
It's the same thing as how we got Trump in the White House. People who felt disenfranchised, and he touched a chord.
Yeah.
With the wrong people.
Well, I mean, they say he's playing to his base. Who are they? A bunch of racist bigots? Is that who his base is? I want to know.
But you got to think about it.
Wait a minute,
Mississippi.
Kevin.
But you got to think about it. A lot of people, like Rob said, there wasn't much of a choice. There was Hillary. People were pissed at Hillary. There was Trump, who said that there was going to be a change, and a lot of people took that chance.
Well, and I remember people saying, "What do we got to lose? Let's try."
Yeah.
I remember that whole "what do we got to lose?"
Well, you just found out,
and
didn't you?
Boy, did that experiment take a shit,
That's what Trump said to the blacks in Michigan. He says, "What do you got to lose?" And he was right. He decreased black unemployment to their lowest levels.
And black unemployment to their lowest levels. Phil, where's the proof of that? Where's the proof? Where's the proof of that, Phil? I heard a bunch of lies tonight.
Yeah, they're still doing all the fact checking. It takes a while to do all that now.
Yeah, but I don't think that
black unemployment has always been high, though. It always has been, and and it's just, if it's gone down a little bit. I mean, it went down during Obama.
Yeah.
And now it's gone down a little bit because what Trump's taken over, and now it's like, look at what we've done. Oh, we care more about the blacks than Obama did.
He doesn't give a shit about the blacks.
And this is from a guy who wants to get the Central Park 5 people executed, even though DNA said, like, nah, they're innocent.
Okay,
I don't care.
Jeff's got his hand up. Jeff?
Yeah. One of the things that my wife was doing while she was watching the TV, she had her cell phone connected to the New York Times, and everything what he ever said, they would immediately justify why he was lying about that.
Oh, geez.
So what about that? What about that statistic with blacks having less unemployment?
Yeah, all of those kind of things. They had answers.
And Hispanics.
Yeah, but it's not true, Phil.
It is true.
No, it's not true. Where? Prove it.
You asked to prove everything.
Yes. Yes.
What you should do is not be so apt to want to disbelieve.
You just want to blindly trust a fucking liar.
No, it's true. Unemployment is down. It's less than 4%.
Mm-hmm.
And black unemployment is the lowest it's ever been.
Hispanics for Hispanics is probably higher because a lot of them, I just had a roof put on my house. Guys about 10 and all that, so you still have some folks, here probably not documented and all that. So, trying to say Hispanic employment is up higher.
So
that's not true. You can't do that.
You hired undocumented workers to work on your home, Doug?
No, I hired a company.
That's the Trump way.
To be licensed and everything else. That's who's out here. I didn't go ask for every green card out there. I just took out because I wanted to get a roof in my house because I have leaks from the hurricane that came through here. So, but I'm just saying. Listen, I have a friend of mine.
Okay. I just looked it up on Snopes.
Sorry.
And yes, Phil is right, but.
There's no but.
Wait a minute. Yes, there is. There's a big but here, Phil. But the big problem with the claim is those rates had been falling before Trump took office, and their declines don't appear to have picked up speed. This implies, wait a minute, let me finish. This implies that there's nothing specific that Trump did to change the rate.
Oh, so, it's like you say, well, he's picking his nose, but it doesn't count because he's only picking the left nostril. It's either lower or it's not.
No.
Is it lower?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's lower.
What the hell was that?
Well, yeah, what was that?
That was the
Bill,
of your Snopes thing.
That comes under the worst simile I've ever heard in my life.
You were better off saying that he didn't get no boogers.
Yeah, really. Patrick's got his hand up.
Yes, Patrick.
Or the nose didn't bleed.
Everybody here is guilty in one way or another of wanting to believe what they want to believe, whether it's factual or not. I mean, everybody piles on Phil for saying, he believed what he wants and without fact checking. Well, I would turn it around and say the same thing to everybody else. The same side.
Give us an example. Give us an example.
Disprove what what we're saying, or prove on your end, because I don't think either side is 100% in the right all the time. And what you just said, Alex, as far as the unemployment for black going down, when I heard the State of the Union, I didn't hear him say it was him that did it. He just stated it as something that was happening. So in that sense...
But what was but Patrick, be honest, what was his implication?
It doesn't matter what the implication was.
He brought it up.
That came out, that's what mattered, what was said, not the implication. He stated it. I took it as it's been going down, and it would be no different if there was another president there that said the same thing. If it was already going down before your administration, that doesn't make it not happening because it didn't happen in your administration.
Okay, Rob's got his hand up, and then Jeff after him.
So I would agree with you, Patrick, if we didn't have a president who we have on videotape numerous times saying, I know more than everybody about fill in the blank. I know more about everything, about anything than anybody else. He knows more about ISIS. He knows more about climate change. He knows more about, you name it, the wackiest thing. So when you hear a guy like that speak, what do you expect that people think about him?
It has been proven.
He makes such outlandish, crazy statements. We know he's a liar. Why would you believe anything that comes out of this man's mouth?
Lower for blacks than
he's citing it because it might be, and it probably is, and because it pats Donald Trump on the back. It's just incensing to listen to this man.
Yes. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Jeff had his hand up earlier. Yes, Jeff.
Well, what I could say is I think he could have said that when Obama was president, he increased the number of black people who had jobs at, 22%, whatever the numbers were. And now we've continued to bring it up from 22% to 23%.
Yeah.
See that? That would be a statistical honest direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's not in that business.
Patrick.
I agree with you, Jeff, it would be nice if there was statistical honesty. But I would say this. I'm more apt to believe or to entertain that he's telling the truth in a speech like this versus a campaign rally sort of deal, because here it's in front of everybody. It's supposed to be more factual. So I would assume his staff would be more punctual in making sure things are correct versus him going off on his own at a rally in Madison, Wisconsin, where he's just going to rattle off, I brought all of the numbers of the black and Hispanic and Asian unemployment down all by myself. I could see him doing that at a rally versus this. So that's why I'm more willing to entertain truth in a speech like this versus at a rally. That's why I don't watch any of his rallies, because it's all bullshit. So
okay,
I think today was a rally.
Yeah, today was a rally.
That's what I went in hoping that would happen, but I don't think it did. And that's what I want to. I really want to see how many of those numbers were actually right. I can't prove that they were right or wrong yet, but I suspect they were wrong, and when I finally hear or see for myself whether they're right or wrong, then I'll make the conclusion. But I suspect heavily that they were probably mostly wrong.
Yeah.
I'll suspect that they're mostly right.
I honestly don't believe that, but that's only from history.
Let me.
I'm more than willing.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to include everybody in here. Marcella, any comments on any of this?
Well, he lies more than anybody else. He lies, I don't know how many times a day. So I honestly, I didn't watch it, but I don't feel like I missed anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I almost think if we stop watching him, maybe that'll have an impact.
I would agree with you. He's such a whore for, applause and praise.
Well, this is what I've been saying all along is, the press paying as much attention as they do to him are enablers. Not everything Trump does because he's president of the United States is worthy of a comment. But it seems as though every time he says something horrible or obnoxious or something they can comment on, they start railing away at him. And he dominates the news cycle more than any president ever has. I mean, you could go a week and not hear about Obama, but Obama was Obama was never in your face. And by the way, as long as we mentioned Hillary, worst candidate of all time. I don't think there's.
Oh, I know.
What did you think, Marcella, as a woman? Were you fond of her?
I thought she was the most qualified candidate that we had.
Yes.
I would have voted for her or Bernie. I didn't hate her. But my son, who's a millennial, he said she reminded him of a high school vice principal who got you in trouble. So that was his thought.
That's good.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody had their hand up or was trying to say something.
Oh, I was trying to say something a minute ago, but I'm just, I told you I didn't watch the speech or anything, but I could just tell right away. I'm reading clips about it, and just he went after the Mueller investigation there, and it's like right there. It's just sort of like, you know what? He's turning this into a rally. Like, look how unfair.
Well, all I'm saying is
he's guilty. He's acting like a guilty man.
There's a spirit in which these things are presented. The presidential State of the Union, and it isn't to sit there and to brag or to complain. It's to put out your agenda. Here's what I'd like to get done in the next year. Here are the things that need to get done. Instead, this was like, first let's love the old World War II vets. Now let's love the Jews. Let's do this. Let's do that. And you go, hey, look at the black lady who I gave a pardon to. He was just trying. He was trying to hit all the notes that somebody would hit in trying to get an applause break, but nothing substantial. Yes, Patrick.
Well, first of all, every president has done that as long as I've watched the State of the Union. They got people up there at props, regardless of which president it's been. It's been, this one lost an arm saving a kitten, and
I agree with you on that. I agree with you.
Don't hate that bullshit as far as just having applause line, because everybody's done it. But going back to what Marcella was saying with maybe not watching him, and what you said, Alex, hanging on every word, he lives for not only the attention, but if you disagree with him, he gets off on that even more, which is where I think like CNN and MSNBC and Fox and everybody should just, if it's not something like this, the State of the Union or something from the Oval Office, don't air it. Don't worry about it. Because
can I say this? He's the Beetlejuice of presidents. I mean, if you say his name 3 times, he'll show up. And he lives and thrives off of publicity. And if you don't give it to him, it will drive him fucking crazy. But the press is yet to learn that. Yes, Marcella.
I don't know if any of you watch Big Brother. I do. Scaramucci was on Big Brother, and he said that what he would love to bring someone in the room, just put a Twitter notification out, and watch the networks start posting his Twitter feed. And he said, like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, they might have like 20 million subscribers, but now he's got like 60 million eyes on his Twitter feed, and that gives him a kick.
Yeah. But it's like I get up every morning, and what is MSNBC reporting? The latest tweets. Come on, don't play into that anymore. Yes. Say something about his administration when they do something that's newsworthy, either good or bad, But don't read every tweet and every person he's going after and all of that. And if you don't do that, he will literally dry up. He'll crawl up in a little ball and start crying because he's not getting that attention. But he's like a petulant child.
Fox will give him all that attention.
What?
Fox will do that. Fox will give him all that attention.
They all do.
Yeah. It's not going to go away. I mean, MSNBC just makes things into bad.
Yeah, well, that's why I have a hard time with MSNBC.
Yeah, you go there and you get tired of it. After a while
I know they're telling me what I want to hear, but I'd like maybe somebody not to tell me what I want to hear. Tell me something I don't want to hear.
That's why I switch over to Fox sometimes just to watch the difference.
Well, what's interesting is CNN is a little more even-handed. They try to be more even-handed.
Oh yeah, they try.
But they're not very good at it because they keep getting assailed by Trump, so they've got to attack back. Yeah. But in the case of MSNBC, it's like I tune in everybody. They even have a Republican. They haven't even have a woman who's a Republican on the air there who hates Trump.
And Fox has one who he's a Democrat, but he just gets trashed all day.
Yeah,
and Shepard Smith.
Well,
Shepard Smith is okay.
He was like,
and then was it Neil Cavuto? Sometimes will wonder what the hell's going on, but he's kind of here and there.
Yeah, but
But the fairest of all in Fox News is Sean Hannity. You have to say that.
Well, yes, absolutely. What a piece of shit.
But you know who also became
him and Tucker? Yes.
You know who became the boy who got beaten all the time was Alan Combs. Alan was always brought up to be the whipping boy, on those shows.
But I tell you, their new whipping boy now is that GIF guy that they have covering every so-called Mexican invasion. GIF, I can't remember his name, but I mean anybody named GIF or Griff or whatever. But it's like every time it's like, well, here's everybody down here, and here's Griff. It's like, oh boy.
What kind of a name is Griff?
Griff Jenkins is the guy's name. Griff Jenkins.
But
I guess it's short for Griffin. But it's sort of like, you want this guy to get put him like in the worst situation. It's sort of like, well, covering ISIS right now.
Fact checks are starting to come across MSNBC now.
The fact checks? What are they saying?
Yeah,
you're doing the same thing on CNN.
U.S. oil, #1 natural gas. U.S. oil has been #1 natural gas since 2013.
Is that true?
Yeah. They've been since 2013, but he apparently said now we are.
Obama's watch.
Oh, but now we are. Oh, I see, 2013. Yeah. I see. Okay. How do you feel about that, Phil? You've been very quiet. He's been very quiet.
Lovely. I'm trying to print something.
Well, why did you pay attention to the show? What did you call for?
Because that's my job.
Because you're not going to be here tomorrow night. At least you should be here tonight, but I'm trying to print something.
Yeah, well, you're fact-checking, and right now you're talking about oil. And how should I feel about it? As far as I'm concerned, if there was any positive thing that he said, you'd just say to me, prove it, prove it, prove it.
There was one positive thing.
They're proving it to you right now.
There was one positive thing.
What did he say?
He said, thank you and good night.
Yeah, that was the positive. I like the part where he said, don't you think my wife's a piece of ass?
I think I like that part of it.
No, it's his daughter.
The other fact check was we've created 5.3 million jobs, 600K in manufacturing, and the fact is 4.9 million jobs under Trump.
And he said how many?
5.3 million.
Yeah.
Oh, bad.
Okay.
No, that's nitpicky.
So that's kind of nitpicky.
That's kind of nitpicky because that's not bad, but it doesn't. You know,
I rest my. You know, you're right. You know,
It's
in a
not
way,
like
Patrick.
negative.
So you know.
Well, apparently, he never says, you know, thanks, President Obama, for handing me an economy
starting it, yeah.
that was on a roll, you know, and continuing that roll. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky, right? Right, Patrick?
I mean, with Obama, it was going downhill, not going uphill. Like when Obama got it from Bush, everything was like uphill. You know, now it's downhill.
Well, the Republicans always hand the Democrats a terrible economy.
How do they get to be called conservatives? Is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Fiscally conservative.
Yeah, well,
They never do it.
I'm not against people who are fiscally conservative. I think there's nothing wrong with being, say, socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
That's my wife.
But conservative means
I'm
we're
trying
going
to
to
get some money.
conserve our resources
Mine
and our
too.
money and our finances, or we're going to be judicious. And liberal means we just want to spread everything around. I don't get how they get to still call themselves conservative.
And judicious is when
Well,
you're
the conservatives.
when you're kosher. So, yes, Doug.
Now, the conservatives that bug me are like the ones that, but they don't ever get spoken about. I can't remember the guy's name. Very pro-life, you know, trying to push in new laws and everything else. Having an affair on the side. His girlfriend gets pregnant, and he forces her to go get an abortion. You know, and it's like you have a lot of those. You have Rush Limbaugh. You know, take all these drug addicts and send them up the river. Oh
well, I don't know the
I got OxyContin things. So.
Yeah, well, you know, he
I
was
hate those type of conservatives.
he was the OxyContin guy. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's sort of like, why, you know, that's the big deal now. Why isn't he the poster boy right now? You know, for that, you know, like, hey, look at me, I'm successful, and I was a fucking drug addict.
Anyway, hey, look, I noticed that we're kind of run out of time, and I guess the new computer's working okay, and it's sending out a good signal, and you know,
soundboard.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Boy, well, of course we were talking about Trump for most of it because Trump talked tonight. He was allowed to speak, courtesy of Nancy Pelosi. That's what I find so wonderful.
She wasn't wearing white.
Yes, she was.
Well, the thing
yes,
I
she
thought
was.
was pretty
Yeah,
funny when
absolutely.
she wanted to make a point, she'd reach over and clap in his ears.
And every now and then, did you
she
notice?
Stood up and they turned to the side.
Did you notice? Did you notice every now and then he would turn kind of to her to see if she was standing up?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for the program tonight. I want to thank Rob Alfano. I want to thank Charles Wallace. I want to thank. Let me see here. Who else? No, I want to get rid of something here. Hold on a second, folks. I get rid of all that. Why did that come on? I don't know.
Hey, Phil.
Anyway, I want to thank Charles. Yes. What, Rob? Quickly.
I want to talk to Phil when we get off.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stay on the Skype.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to hang up on the Skype.
That's fine. We'll still connect.
Okay. All right. Charlie Wallace, thank you so much. Rob, thank you. Patrick, thank you. Kevin, Phil, Doug, Jeff Stein, and Marcella. Do it more often. We love having you here. Okay? And that's it. Why don't they all kind of wave a big wave goodbye? Yes, that would be the answer to the whole problems here in America. People waving goodbye. Anyway, let me see here. Let me get rid of our citizen panel. Okay, we did that. And then I got to sign off of Skype. So the next show, which is Jack Bishop and the Intersection, can use it next. We'll be here again tomorrow night. Okay, right here. Same time, same station in life.
right after Damian Chaplin and the Exchange. Oh, by the way, tomorrow night is the sports show at 8:30, the Arena with the franchise MC. We'll see you tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.